What if you were more afraid of being found than of dying? Imagine this. 5 best friends leave home for a basketball game. They're happy, they've got snacks for the road. They're supposed to be back by midnight, but they never return. Instead, their car is discovered abandoned. 50 miles in the wrong direction, high up in a snowy mountain wilderness they've never been to before. What happened next is one of the most baffling and chilling mysteries in American history. Why would 5 grown men, all perfectly healthy, walk away from a working car and straight into a deadly blizzard? And why did one of them starve to death, while surrounded by enough food to feed him for an entire year? This is the story of the Yuba County 5, also known as the Boys. Their names were Ted, Jack, Bill, another Jack, and Gary. These weren't just friends, they were inseparable. They all lived at home with their parents in Yuba City, California, and played together on a local basketball team called the Gateway Gators. Life was simple, and they were happy. On the night of February 24, 1978, the 5 of them piled into a 1969 Mercury Montego to drive to Chico, about 50 miles north, to cheer on their favorite college basketball team. After the game, they stopped at a convenience store around 10 p.m. The clerk remembers them. They bought Hostess pies, chocolate bars, and sodas. They were cheerful, just a group of guys on a night out. They were only an hour's drive from the safety of their homes. But something went terribly wrong. Instead of turning south on the main highway to go home, their car turned east into the pitch-black darkness of the Plumas National Forest. This wasn't a scenic detour. This was a lonely, winding mountain road, climbing higher and higher into the Sierra Nevada mountains, a place they had no reason to be, especially at night in the middle of winter. Days turned into a week. Their families were frantic. A massive search began. Finally, on February 28th, a park ranger found their car. It was parked on a dirt road, deep inside the forest, right at the snow line where the plows had stopped. It was stuck in a shallow snowdrift, but when the ranger tried the engine, it started right up. The gas tank was still a quarter full. It was a perfectly functional car. 5 strong, healthy men could have easily pushed it free in minutes, but they didn't. The car was unlocked. The keys were gone, and on the front seat, neatly placed, were the snacks they had just bought, all unopened. The wrappers were still on the candy bars. It was as if they had suddenly decided to leave, without even taking a bite. The strangest part, there were no footprints. The snow around the car was undisturbed. It was like the 5 men had been lifted out of the car and vanished into thin air. It made no sense. Why abandon a warm, working vehicle to venture into the freezing wilderness on foot? The mystery deepened when a witness came forward. A man named Joseph Shones had been on that same mountain road that night. His own car had gotten stuck in the snow, and while trying to push it out, he suffered a mild heart attack. As he lay in his car, weak and in pain, he saw headlights appear behind him. He heard voices, a group of them, and saw the beams of flashlights cutting through the darkness. Hopeful, he yelled out for help. The moment he screamed, everything stopped. The headlights went out, the voices fell silent. Whoever was out there, they didn't want to be found. Shones said he saw the faint figures of a group of men, and, strangely, what looked like a woman holding a baby, all walking away silently into the void. Then, he passed out. When he came to, he managed to walk back down the mountain and get help. Was this the Yuba County 5 he saw? And if so, who was the woman with the baby? And why did they run from someone who needed help? For months, the case went cold. The snow was too deep for search parties to go any further up the mountain. Spring finally arrived, and the snow began to melt, revealing the forest floor. And that's when the true horror of what happened began to unfold. Nearly 20 miles away from the abandoned car, a search team stumbled upon an old, isolated Forest Service trailer, a shelter used by rangers in the summer. The door had been broken into, and inside they found the body of one of the 5 men. Ted was lying on a bed, wrapped in 8 sheets, as if his friends had tried to keep him warm. But he hadn't died quickly. An autopsy revealed he had lived for weeks, maybe even months, inside that trailer. He had grown a long, ragged beard and had lost nearly 100 pounds. His feet were severely fractured. He had slowly and painfully starved to death. But here's the part that will send a shiver down your spine. The trailer wasn't empty. In a storage shed right next to the trailer, there was a massive stockpile of food. Cans of army rations, dried meals, powdered milk, fruit cocktail, enough food to keep all 5 men alive for a full year. Ted had died of starvation in what was essentially a fully stocked pantry. Investigators found that only a dozen or so cans had been opened and eaten from, using a can opener from the trailer. But the vast majority of the food was untouched. Why? There was also a propane tank connected to the trailer's heating system. It was full. All someone had to do was turn a valve to have heat. They never did. There were plenty of paperback books and matches. They could have easily started a fire for warmth. They never lit a single one. It was as if Ted and whoever else was with him in that trailer were terrified. Terrified of making a sound. Terrified of turning on a light. Terrified of drawing attention to themselves. They chose to freeze and starve in silence rather than risk being discovered. Who or what were they hiding from? A few days later, the search continued. About 5 miles from the trailer, searchers found the skeletal remains of 2 more of the friends, Bill Sterling and Jack Madruga. They had been picked clean by animals. It looked as if they had tried to walk back toward the car, but succumbed to the cold. Soon after, the bones of the 4th friend, Jack Hoot, were found nearby. But one man remained missing, Gary Mathias. Gary had a history of schizophrenia, though he was managing it with medication. His tennis shoes were found inside the trailer where Ted's body lay. This suggests that Gary had taken Ted's more durable leatherwork boots and walked out, alone, into the wilderness. Did Gary lead them up that mountain in a state of confusion? Did a sudden paranoid episode convince him and his friends that they were in danger, forcing them to flee into the forest? Or was he the only one strong enough to try and walk for help, only to perish somewhere no one has ever looked? To this day, Gary Mathias has never been found. The case of the Yuba County 5 has been called the American Dyatlov Pass. Another infamous case of hikers dying under bizarre circumstances. The questions are endless and haunting. Why abandon a perfectly good car? Why ignore a witness crying for help? Why walk 20 miles through deep snow into a blizzard? And the most disturbing question of all, why would a man starve to death in a room full of food? Whatever happened on that lonely mountain road in 1978, it instilled a profound and paralyzing fear into these 5 men. A fear so powerful, it made them believe that dying of cold and hunger was a better option than being found. We may never know what they were running from, but the silence from that mountain speaks volumes. Thanks for watching. If you find stories like this fascinating, don't forget to like and subscribe for more timeless mysteries.